Phones down and heads up, because The View is live. State of the Union? The ticket typo that's kicking off President Trump's first State of the Union address on an awkward note. And speculation about surprise guests showing up. Pink sees red. How she's clapping back at the Grammy chief's claim that women in music need to step up their game.
I have been silenced for 20 years.
Rose McGowan speaking out in her first interview on daytime TV. Her fierce battle to take down the man she says raped her, Harvey Weinstein. How she's calling out Hollywood hypocrisy and her mission to ignite a global revolution against sexual misconduct.
We are strong, we are brave, and we will fight.
And Anna Navarro's back to guest co-host.
Let's go!
Here come Hot Topics with Whoopi, Joy Behar, and Sunny Hostin. Now, let's get things started.
To you.
Thank you. Anna Navarro's back to guest co-host. Welcome back, and I'm back at the table.
Welcome back.
I'm telling you, this flu, man.
Yeah.
This flu is, I have to tell you, this flu is no joke.
Yeah.
Pay attention to this, because I had fever. I've not had a fever since I was a little girl, you know, and so you're working with 101, 102, and suddenly, you know, you're in a position where you think, yeah, I'm going to try to get up and go to work. Don't do that. Don't do it. Because what we're not showing you is that people are sick. We've got folks that are out here at work. We've got folks out all over the country, and children are passing away. I mean, crazy stuff's going on. Please pay attention.
Take the shot. Get the flu shot.
Get the flu shot. Even if you think, oh, I'm never going to do that, you really don't want to play with this.
Had you taken the flu shot?
I hadn't been well enough.
Yeah.
Because every time, you know, this started with me like a month ago.
Right.
Because people were coughing and doing all kinds of stuff, and you go to get the shot, and they go, well, you know, you can't do it while you're sick. So every time I go to get well and think, okay, now, they're like,
And it kind of snuck up on you, because you came in and you wondering, you've been contagious for how long?
Listen, if you haven't gotten it from me by now, I mean, the least of your worries. Were you here yesterday?
Believe me, you are the least of my worries.
Yes, I know I am.
Got a hell of a lot of other things to worry about.
I know you do. Now, Megan, who was under the weather yesterday, I was told, is on her way to tonight's first State of the Union address by you-know-who. Or should I say, they're calling it the State of the Union. Yeah, because the tickets are called.
Terrible.
Come on, who doesn't read it? Don't they read anything through before sending out the
I guess
Union?
Trump wrote that himself. Look, it could have been worse. It could have been the state of the covfefe.
This is true. So tonight's speech will cover, I guess, a whole bunch of stuff: infrastructure, immigration, terrorism. You know, anything you're looking for tonight?
Look, I think he's going to take a victory lap on the tax cuts. I think he's going to talk about all the businesses that are giving bonuses, and he's going to get an applause line for that. I think he's also going to talk about some victories regarding foreign policy. You know, he's going to say ISIS is on the run. He's going to have Neil Gorsuch, a new Supreme Court justice, sitting there, which is a victory for him. So he does have some things to tout. He does have some things to celebrate.
Well, mostly those were Obama policies, except for Neil Gorsuch.
Well, the tax policy, the tax reform is a bill that just passed, is a Trump policy.
We'll see if it works. Go ahead.
But it's, in the short term, it's good headlines. We've seen good headlines coming out of the tax reform bill in the last month. I think the problem he has, and the question we have to ask each other, is, does it matter? does it matter? Because we saw him give an address to Congress last year. We saw him, you know, some people thought he became presidential at that moment. And then he's had 365 days of not being presidential.
That's
right.
Right
and so does it matter? Does it even matter anymore what he says?
Well, typically, to the Republican Party, who is backing him up and collaborating in his law breaking and his disgusting speeches, it matters.
You know, Joy, I don't think it matters. Honestly,
I mean, it doesn't matter.
I honestly think it doesn't matter to either side. If you are his, you know, 35% of his base, no matter what he says or does, you're going to still support him. And if you are the rest of America, basically, no matter what he says or does, at this point, we no longer believe it.
But I do think people watch, you know, and I think a lot of people watch. And what I'm looking for is he going to stick to the teleprompter or go off script? And if he sticks to the teleprompter, we know that Stephen Miller is writing his speech, and he is the most biased, anti-immigrant person that writes these just disgusting, I think, speeches for Trump. He wrote them during the campaign. And I'm also looking to see who they bring as guests, because I think the guests that are brought by the president and others sort of highlights their policies. My understanding is he's bringing family members that have been killed by MS-13 gangs, and I understand that is tragic. But I'd like him to bring some dreamers out. If he's really serious about immigration policy, then I want to see families like Jorge Garcia that has been
The Democrats are going to bring dreamers with them. He's not going to do that.
There's even some Republicans bringing
some
dreamers.
Republicans.
You know what I want? I want to hear somebody yell out, "You lie," just like they did to Obama. Do you remember that?
They did.
You know
I mean, Obama hardly ever lied, and they said, "You lie." This guy lies every day.
I don't want anybody yelling you lie.
Oh,
I don't want, because it's no good if it doesn't matter who does it. It's bad. It's bad to do. It's, you know, there has to be, you know, look, we got 2-3 more years of whatever's left of this guy's tenure there.
Maybe 7.
You know, I don't know.
Maybe 7 months.
You know, I don't know, but in that time, I want some decorum returned to the office.
I agree. Yeah.
And I do. You
Not
know?
gonna get it from him.
Well, but you can get it from the people around him, and if the people around him aren't giving it to them, then you got to change the people around him. But the one thing I do want to bring out about the truth about the economy, because I think it's kind of important, the economy hasn't actually dramatically changed. They want to give him credit for it, but it hasn't actually dramatically changed. It's grown steadily for the past 72 months. Okay, 72 months the economy has been growing. The stock market first hit record high territories, I'm sorry to bring it up, under Obama, because you remember, you know, after Bush, Obama pulled this economy out of the toilet.
That's right.
And it went up and down and up and down. But let's not forget that this began before this man. He complained last year that 94 million Americans were out of the labor force. It's now 95.5. But you do know that some of them retired. There's a lot that goes in. You can't just spout these numbers without doing it. And the trade deficit, has increased.
But some of the Democrats are not showing up at this tonight now. Maxine Waters represented John Lewis, whom we had on this show.
Yeah, a lot of folks.
Is that good? Do you think that's good
I
that they
think all
aren't
the
showing
Democrats
up?
should stay away.
You know what? It's a big deal, because the State of the Union is a lot of pomp and circumstance. It's it's respect for the institution. So I think that, and people like John Lewis take it very seriously.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're not showing up just shows you how unrepresented they feel. And I think they speak for a lot of Americans.
Quite
you know,
a statement.
they are representing Americans who feel unrepresented.
So on both sides, so now there's folks over here unrepresented, and then over there unrepresented. And at some point, we're all going to have to figure out if we're all Americans and how to work this crap out, because this isn't working for us. We'll be right back.
There's still time to feel the Oprah effect on View Your Deal. We partner with vendors for at least half off her latest batch of favorite things. So get to viewyourdeal.com now.
She stood tall, fearless, at the center of a powerful movement.
For a woman like Rose McGowan to say, I'm going to take this medium and I'm going to use it to speak out about the harassment and injustices I have experienced.
When she says, help me here, She's saying, it's not just me this is going to happen to. It's happening to all of us.
Now today, Rose McGowan, in her first daytime interview, sits down live with the women of The View. We are strong, we are brave, and we will fight. Don't miss this View. Today, TV.
Welcome back. So Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has a previous engagement and won't be able to attend tonight's State of the Union. But it didn't stop Mike Huckabee from sending a kind of nasty tweet about when she nodded off during the State of the Union back in 2015. Now, I loved her explanation. She was like, look, we went to dinner. The meal was good. I need to have some wine. Okay? And so I had some wine, and maybe I nodded out.
Yeah, the wine made her a little sleepy.
It made her a little sleepy, but for a man who gets upset when SNL critiques his daughter, is this not a strange...
Did you have a tweet? It was something about...
We had it here.
They should bring one of those machines that...
a CPAP machine.
Which
it was there.
Which helps you with apnea. You know, that disease that makes you...
apnea.
Yeah.
I mean, have some respect. She's a Supreme Court justice.
Oh, here it is, Joy.
Well, you know, have some respect.
Well, two things. One, she's a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
Two, he's a preacher.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still an evangelical preacher, right? Who does some TV, and he is the father of the current press secretary who gets attacked all the time.
Yes.
And
he doesn't like it.
And he doesn't like it.
No.
So I think I would say, look, do unto others as you'd like done unto your daughter.
Yes, yes.
And by the way, since we're on this topic of mean tweets, about 5 days ago, a woman who, political appointee of Donald Trump's, who works at HUD at the, under Ben Carson, tweeted against April Ryan, a friend and colleague of mine, a wonderful reporter and journalist, White House correspondent, calling her Miss Piggy. Now, I am paying a government employee's salary so that she goes on Twitter and calls my colleague and calls a woman, an African-American woman who is a famous White House correspondent and just respected, Miss Piggy.
Who was the one who tweeted that?
Her name is Lynn Patton.
And
she took the tweet down and apologized for it, but the damage was already done.
It was already done. But what does Miss Patton do?
Miss Patton works at the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Right.
She was a party planner for Trump before.
Yeah.
Oh, is that?
I think she was a party planner for Eric Trump.
Look, you know. I'm not to throw shade, but look in the mirror. We'll be, what? See,
we don't know what she looks like. That's not a joke.
Yes, we do.
Who? This woman? We
know what the party planner looks like.
What does she look like?
I'll let you look it up and figure it out.
Okay.
It's crazy. You know what? Women we don't do ourselves any services by doing
by attacking each other's looks or bodies.
And until we all are walking around with our own mirrors, we should maybe try to stop doing that. Okay? Let's just stop doing that. We'll be right back.
Next, Rose McGowan is live on The View. How she says she survived Harvey Weinstein's sexual abuse, why she holds Hollywood accountable, and how she found the strength to fight back and start a...
March 27th on ABC.
I have been silenced for 20 years. I have been slut-shamed. I have been harassed. I've been maligned. And you know what? I'm just like you. Because what happened to me behind the scenes happens to all of us in this society. And that cannot stand, and it will not stand. We are pure, we are strong, we are brave, and we will fight.
Rose McGowan's call to arms at the Women's Convention. Now, she's been one of the fiercest, tireless voices taking on sexual misconduct. And the man who she says raped her, Harvey Weinstein, in her new memoir, is fittingly titled Brave. Please welcome Rose McGowan. So I mentioned the Hollywood producer in the intro, but you don't say his name. You call him the monster, and you say he raped you in 1997 at the Sundance Film Festival. And you say in your book, you tell your story, and I mean, when you read it, it is so utterly stunning that you kind of go, whoa. Yeah. Please tell people what happened.
Well, what happened is, you know, my life got hijacked, as it happens to so many, all too many of us, men and women alike, and trans everybody. I went into a meeting at 10 a.m. and I was in the middle of my second film, so this is my boss. Mm-hmm. And the night before, he'd sat behind me in a theater where I was at a movie premiere of mine at Sundance. I was supposed to be the belle of the ball. I had 4 movies there that year. And I think I lasted a day and a half because I left shortly thereafter. Just put it this way, you know, we've all heard kind of what it is. Women and anybody who's attacked, you just leave your body, and everything happens so fast and so slow, because this wasn't the plan. I had turned to an MTV camera crew before going in. They were following me a day in the life, and I did say, I think my life is finally getting easier. And for years, they haunted me. And I talk about it in Citizen Rose, the documentary where I address a lot of this stuff. The book is about bravery and overcoming adversity and helping, hopefully, teach people just to be more courageous than they already are.
Right. So now, this happens when we have conversations like this. We sometimes have things we call must-dos and have to read this statement from the representatives. He denies Rose McGowan's allegations of non-consensual sexual contact, and it is erroneous and irresponsible to conflate claims of inappropriate behavior and consensual sexual contact later regretted with an untrue claim of rape. Basically, he's saying, I didn't do anything.
Rose, and I have to say this too, ABC has not verified some of the claims in your book. But in your book, you talk about how you told people. You actually didn't keep it to yourself. You told people, and not just one person. Did anybody help you? Did anybody help you?
No, actively not.
Who did you tell?
Everybody, from the first person when I came out of that hotel room, and here's the thing, people think hotel room is like what we see. You open a bedroom and there's a door. This is a presidential suite. It's the entire top floor of a massive hotel, and there's about 3 offices in there. I mean, it's huge. So it's completely not abnormal. You've probably taken meetings in hotels too. You know, this is, people I think it's like a little room, and you're like in there. It's not how it went. I was having a meeting, and now I know, like, the whole time he's just listening to me. And I know he's very sexy and hard to resist.
Not.
Warthog from hell. Yeah, consensual, my ass. How does it feel? I told everybody that day. I told everybody consistently. And they've, New Yorker, as Ronan Farrow says in my documentary, that he's like, it fact-checked out, all of it. Mm-hmm. And otherwise, you couldn't report it.
Didn't you tell your manager?
Yes, but she got a job with him for 7 years right afterwards.
So what did she tell you to do?
I went to the management company, the bigger managers than her, and one of them said, and I remember it because it was so close to what Ben Affleck said, and I was kind of struck by that at the time. And he said, God, I told him to stop doing that. I just had an LA Times story killed about him. He owes it to me not to do this. And then I had, like, the head of the most powerful law firm calling me and saying, the women of Hollywood, the wives, will support you if you come out. But I knew that guy was in a fight with him. Nobody cared. And they got a woman to come in who I've heard wants to apologize to me. She came in and was somebody who, but it was true. She said, no one's going to believe you. You're an actress. You've done a sex scene. You're done.
Has anybody apologized for you of all of these?
There are a lot of women misogynists. It's not just men.
Did this monster ever contact you?
Yes.
He did.
3 days later, I was back in my little apartment, and I checked my voicemails. Somebody gave him my number. And I won't mention the other names, but Gwyneth Paltrow's already talked about it. And he said, Gwyneth's my special friend. Blank's my special friend. You're my new special friend. And I slid down the wall and threw up on myself.
I can see why.
Yeah.
Well, it's vomitous.
After 20 years, though, and you are so brave, by the way, you were able to tell the world about his abuse. And most people don't know this. You were the person that was behind exposing him in the New York Times and the New Yorker. You were the person. How did that, coming from the place you were in, throwing up on yourself after he called you, how did it make you feel when he was finally exposed?
I don't understand why if people can get convicted based on people saying, yes, that man stole my purse, like if there's so many, I still don't understand why legally nothing's happened to him yet. This is a bad human being, y'all. With a lot of tentacles. It's not just Hollywood. He had deep reach in the Democratic Party, deep reach all over the world. He had a woman that was, her job was to give him go in the room and rape.
What?
Every single place where there were territories, that's what they called them, where you sell movies, he had a little mini factory set up to, you know, it was a supply chain. And, you know, it's the women that have come forward. What I did was, I know I've lost a lot of jobs in the past to men in ego contests with each other. I'm sure we all have. And so what I knew to do was like, what if, you know, this woman from an organization called ultraviolet.org contacted me and I said, he's on me, the monsters are on me. And to give you an idea of the level of the attorneys that were harassing me, hired spies, ex-Mossad, all sorts of things. Charles Harder is one of them. He's now Trump's attorney. The other one was Gore's attorney.
Oh, boy.
Deeply involved with the Clintons. It's just the truth.
God.
You know, today's gray outside. I didn't make it so.
Yeah. You know, you did have a settlement. They gave you, what, $100,000. Big deal. And I understand you gave it to charity. Am I right?
Well, they didn't give it to me. I wanted to buy a billboard. I tried. I called Gannett Outdoors, the billboard company, and I said I wanted to get his name as a rapist. They wouldn't let me, shockingly. But that was 20 years ago, and I did give some to that, and I used a little bit of it to live and to pay for therapy, which is like sad. But the biggest reason for that, it was my only way of saying I didn't like this. I didn't want this.
Because no one listened to you.
And people like, you took the money, and let me tell you, the only perfect rape victim is a dead one. And that's a fact.
And on that note, we're going to be right back with more with Rose McGowan.
In Hearing Solutions 10-Day Challenge.
So we're back with Rose McGowan. Now, Rose, you were about to make it's not an explanation, but help people understand what you guys were just talking about.
Yeah, we were just talking during the break that a lot of people will come down on women and are against them for taking settlement money, for signing NDAs. And you had something really interesting to say about that.
I feel, you know, you took a settlement. First of all, you don't understand what it does to you. You can't work. You're destroyed. And it's also really the only way you can put them on notice, but that you didn't like it. But the other part of it is by perpetuating and coming at women and others with that question or comment. It's really the new you wore a short skirt. You deserved it. What's the difference? The shaming and not understanding the dynamics of, you know, it's a very complex issue. And it's, you know, and the people that make the rape laws are men. And they write about how much it can be punished for. And the statistic 1 in 5, we know it's a lot more. Come on. But this book is not, Brave is not about just that. That would be a real downer. No, this is about how to be brave in the face of adversity. So I tied together my stories and connected them with just some ideas. Like, what if You know, Ronan Farrow in Citizen Rose, there's a scene where he says, you're like the grizzled old man from the future that's coming back saying, I have the information, I have the code. And nobody believes him. And then at the end, the twist is they were right. You know, so I'm sad when people come at me with that. I also accidentally worked with a pedophile. But I bet you have too.
You accidentally worked with a pedophile?
Pedophile, and nobody told me.
Who
The
was
manager or the agents didn't tell me. It was a man named Victor Salva, who's on the registry. And I gave an interview right when I started that movie, but about the second day or first day of filming, I gave it like when we were in pre-production, before the movie starts, a man came out yelling in the neighborhood about pedophiles, and I didn't know what he was, like, what? And I asked, I was like, what? Oh, like, he's just mad that they didn't hire him to work on the movie.
Right.
So this is what they do systemically. But I will say that pretty much probably everybody's accidentally worked with a pedophile. And I don't take joy in that whatsoever.
You know, we've been talking a lot about all the women of coming out and saying all these things, and they have had so much trouble speaking up. All these years they've been covered up. Can you imagine what children go through? I was thinking that today. I mean, these are adult women, and we can't seem to grasp it. Imagine what a child has to go through.
I can't. The thing is that, I mean, I can, actually, but I don't want to, but I can.
Terrible.
It's terrible, and what people don't understand, and you know, is that part of you, a big part of you dies. Who you were dies. And you have a choice. You can either slowly be taken down, but in a way, you have to get that dead body out of you. And it's really sucky that you got stolen and don't get to be who you were.
Yeah.
Right.
It sucks, but you can reform. It's not fair, but we can. And those children, and a lot of places have a 7-year statute of limitations.
That's right.
So a 5-year-old,
That's changing, I think.
It's an outrage, really.
Let's do that, but I think all statutes of limitation. If murder doesn't have one,
Why
should we?
This murders the soul. So, several actresses created a campaign called Time's Up that has raised over $20 million for a legal defense fund to help assault victims. Also, everyone wore black to the Golden Globes in solidarity with the movement. Now, you called all of this quote-unquote Hollywood fakery.
I might know something. Just say. You know, the thing is that it's the intentions are good, but I know the people behind it. You know, it's 4 CIA agents who needed good PR. And I hope that they desperately help these women. I believe these women really, you know, and, you know, but there's Justin Timberlake hashtagging, my wife looks hot tonight, hashtag Time's Up, hashtag, I just did a movie with Woody Allen. So come on. It is fake. I wish it weren't. I wish everybody was good. I wish it wasn't like, I'm sorry to puncture your heroes, but sometimes these heroes need to be better.
Rose, you've created something called Rose Army, which is different and apart from the Me Too movement. You support the Me Too movement.
I am a Me Too.
And can you tell me, though, the difference in what Rose Army is? And, you know, the Harvey Weinstein moment is a watershed moment in America that I think we're all going to remember what it was like before and what it was like after. So what you have done is broken the silence and broken the ceiling. So tell us about the Rose Army.
Thank you for asking. Rose Army is simply, and y'all are members, if you want to think differently and do better, that's about it. My goal was 3 years ago when I trademarked Rose Army, was to I started hammering the word complicit, and I started hammering different, like, rot in Hollywood, because it's systemic. It's okay, you know, like this country with race, like with everything, they won't look at it. But you have to look, because that's the only way you can heal it. And then you get to move on and be free. But people are so scared of looking at it. Rose Army is simply about, do you think differently? Like people, like I was at a restaurant and I picked up my bill and the waiter wrote hashtag Rose Army. It's really just a secret code. And a woman said at a party, it's just like, yeah, I want to be 10% better. My goal was to see if I could move the needle by 10%. And from every level of consciousness, definitely I'm somewhere in the middle, including my own. Can we wake up? Can we be more awesome? Can we be more developed?
Oh my God, Rose, you've got a secret society. Nunes was right.
But that secret society is all of us. You know, it's just 10% more. Humanity. Because the construct of men and women going at each other like this, it's not working so well. So if we can step back to the macro, the bigger picture, and if men who've been sold, they've been sold an idea of what they are. They're trapped in it. they're trapped, and I see so many trapped, and I'm like, oh, be free. And I know there's no tools, you know. In other languages, they're a lot more descriptive. English is like sad, mad, glad. It's basic. There's not a lot of words for this, which is why Me Too hashtag works so well, because it's a shorthand. Yeah. Rose Army is also a shorthand.
Yes. Let me ask you this, because I've interviewed hundreds of survivors of child sexual assault and women as well. And I see how brave and powerful you are today. But in those quiet moments when you think about your life over the last 20 years and what this has done to your life, what's been the most difficult part for you?
My sister, and she didn't mean it in a bad way, but you see, I was treated as the media, largely at almost every major media place was bought by him, different people there, and they were paid, and I was #1 on his target list for 20 years to smear me and create this false identity of like a crazy off-balance woman, which is what they do to all of us. You know, so to every single person I met, to an extent, treated me that way, and my sister, when people asked her if she was related to me, she would say no.
She believed it.
She didn't believe it. I just came with so much baggage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since you read the book, you had a very difficult childhood. Your life has not been easy, and you've done brave work, just like the book says.
And you're strong.
You should be happy about that.
It's really just about freedom. But so many of us are.
Yeah.
Go us.
And also, you know, I always say it's like the guy in the Tarzan movie. You know, they always send one guy out. They always say, Makoko, go over there. Yeah. And Makoko says, no, I don't want to go. He says, go, Makoko, go. And Makoko goes, and he looks, and then you hear, and you see Makoko go, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. The first one out always takes the hit.
Yeah. I was just doing an interview. Oh, sorry to interrupt you.
I was just going to say, on behalf of a whole bunch of us, thank you for taking this hit.
Thank you.
We got you. Our thanks to Rose McGowan. Her book, Brave, and her single, Now You're Here, are out today. And make sure you watch her docuseries, Citizen Rose, which premieres tonight on E! And we will be right back.
Strong. It means standing up for what you believe.
We definitely have things to stand up against in this country right now.
It means women standing up together.
There's women who are standing up and saying, no, me too, and I'm going to watch out for my sisters on set.
It sets an example for any other abuser that their time is up. We're not done yet.
Oh, you know. It means telling it like it is.
But they were mean to you over at the Today Show.
Here we go. Enough is enough.
You strong.
We will back you up. We will stand with you.
And we're only... Let's go!
You know, we're sitting here and talking about all the stuff that's sort of enraging us. And you know, I'm listening and I'm thinking to myself, like you know, I find myself enraged by so much stuff. And then like you, I think, well, somebody who's in the middle of this is keeping an eye on it. But I wondered, how do we get people to not slip backwards and think nothing good is going to come of this, into getting into a mindset saying we actually do have the power to make these changes. We have the power to make it better. Because I think what's happening is people are losing faith. Yeah. And I don't mean faith in, you know, faith. I mean faith in the fact that we are a country that was built on trying to do better for everybody.
You know, I think, first of all, you're so right. I think we're in this constant state of outrage, and the risk of that is that it becomes normal, that we numb ourselves to the idea.
I wish
that,
I could
you know,
feel that. I don't. I never do.
You want to feel numb?
No, but
I don't want you to feel numb. I want you to stay alive, and I want you to stay vibrant and fighting.
I don't feel that anything is normalized at all.
But you know, the question is, what do? We got to channel it into something. On the political front, You got to register people to vote. You got to make sure people vote. You got to vote yourself. You got to register your friends. You've got to register your family. You've got to get educated about candidates and
That's
about
what
issues.
keeps me going, is that November, people are going to rise up in humongous numbers and vote these people out. If that doesn't happen, I'm very scared for the whole country.
I haven't lost my faith in humanity. I'm very hopeful when I see someone like Rose McGowan, who took the hits, who stands up, who tells her truth. I think we have millions of Rose McGowans in our country that are willing to step up, tell their truth, vote with their conscience, lead with their conscience. I think that really an army is rising up. I really believe that. I really think it's a watershed moment in our society right now. We're hearing people's voices for the first time.
We're hearing a lot of folks stand up, men and women. We had those wonderful male models who took the opportunity to say, yeah, this has happened to us, and we're no longer embarrassed by the fact that we're male models. But we got to tell you, don't play me off with music. This is not the Oscars. We'll be right back.
With Olympic legend Nancy Kerrigan.
USA.
Thanks for the enthusiasm. 2 new Fresh Off the Boats tonight on ABC.
Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming. Count your blessings and have a great day. And take a little time to enjoy the